talking about curves and curved surfaces and how they, if it's a uh, convex surface, it accelerates as it moves away from you. Let's just look at the front of a vehicle. And so this is a Honda Element, and I just want to sketch on top of this real quick and show you if this is the beginning of the front of the surface and here's the end of the surface. There's not much curve here, but notice how much more curve there is over here and how flat the curve is right through here. Let me turn the opacity down just a little bit more. And so if we look at this and we think about how this is related to just a natural curve and an ellipse, that curve is a lot smoother from here to here than it is as it curves around there. Same thing can be seen down here, maybe even a little bit more exaggerated down here. And if we look at where the center of this front surface is, it's really out here, and then it steps back in for where that logo is. Also, what I want you to note is just how much of this headlight we see and how little we see of the headlight over on this side of the car. And so what I want to do now is basically just sketch sketch basically the front of maybe an SUV vehicle, a fairly simple one, like the one on the Honda Pilot. I'm just going to rotate this. If you would, rotate your page so that we've got a little bit more room to work with. Okay. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start out with a curved surface. So this is that front leading edge. And what I'm going to try and do is, we don't always have to build this thing up with boxes. If we want to, we can go ahead and draw in some lines going towards the right vanishing point, find that midpoint, and draw a line going towards that left vanishing point. That carries it out, and if you'll notice, that is or should be about that tangent line. Okay, so this bottom curve, in a very similar manner, should come through that tangent and then on around. So I'm keeping the line work fairly light right here. But this is the center of that surface. And if we were going to sketch in a detail that was a headlight, very similar to that earlier one, I'm going to start that headlight about right there. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line from here all the way down because we may use these points in developing this a little bit further. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to step in just a little bit and basically copy and paste this curve right here just down, and then we'll step in a little bit here on the side and we'll put an angle. Now that angle should have just a little bit of a curve to it. So how do we translate this over to the other side? As we've talked about earlier, one of the main things that we're doing is we are trying to figure out what is going on. Is we're looking and trying to figure out how much of this light we see right here, and how little of it we're going to see on this far side. And so what I can do is I can basically carry that line. I'll do this in a different color and on a different layer so you can see it. I'm going to carry this line up to that point where it meets that curve. And then from that point, we're going to carry it towards the right vanishing point. And where those intersect, that right there, that should be the mirror image of this point right here. So these two points should be mirrors about this center plane. So I'll go over, that's what I'm thinking about. And so, very quickly I'll just sketch that over to there. What is not any different really is going to be the height of this light. This distance should be, except for foreshortening, should be very similar to this distance over here. It's the width that changes, at least from our perception. That's the major change. And so this should be a curve that's very similar to that one on top. This height should be very similar over there. It's about halfway up, and then we're just connecting the dots. So that's, and we'll actually see a little bit more of a curve right there, just like that. A flat line would be curving more, so too will this angled line over on the other side. Next thing I want to do is create a recess. So let's go about halfway in from here to here. Maybe keep that same height. Let's translate. Let's go ahead and sketch in a curve that's very similar to the curve that we've got, and then come over about this height, and we're going to create a recess right here. And that recess will be the same height, so it should follow that same curve. And then I'm trying to figure out how far over should this be. It's about halfway. So there's where that recess might stop. Again, you could use the technique of carrying this over there. And in fact, as it goes further away, we see less and less. So that recess will step straight back, going towards the left vanishing point. This recess will step straight back, going towards that vanishing point. And then I need to give it a depth. We'll give it a depth about like so. And as opposed to that stepping straight in, let's make it step at an angle. So stepping straight in, that line right there would also go towards the left vanishing point. And basically I'm translating that same curve back to here. Now we talked a little bit about section lines or contour lines, and right here I feel like I could probably go ahead and throw one in. I'm going to take this angle, translate it, put it right there, and then it steps up, and the back of this surface has a curve too, so we'll put that curve in right there, and that should go up to about right there. Now the last thing I want to do, we'll go down about this distance. This is about a third, a third, a third. We'll go down about that distance, and we'll put another kind of vent recess down here. So again, what I'm looking at is, as I draw this curve in, I'm referencing this one and this one, as well as that one. Let's carry that point right here down to right there. That'll be the beginning of our vent. We'll carry that down to right there. And then I want to, we said we might use this line again. Let's put an angle in there. And so again, it's connect the dots over to the other side. So it's not just some random angle that we're drawing in there. We've actually constructed that geometry. We're really not even guessing as to what that angle is supposed to be. And then with this, let's step it, as opposed to going straight back towards the vanishing point, let's step it in kind of as a chamfered surface. And we probably won't see the underside of that. And then last, Last thing is going over there. So let's darken in what we've got. All I'm really concerned about right now is just this front surface. These lines would not be too dark if I don't really like that. I'm going to undo that guy. This is that quick accelerated part of the curve. It's right there. It's a little bit easier to draw. And I'm going to make this just a little bit darker. Let's say if we were to draw in that angle, it would go down kind of like that. And then there's my section line. I guess the last thing we can do, let's put just a simple little circular logo here. So there's my minor axis for the circle, for this circle emblem. And then I'll just sketch in that logo. Maybe it's recessed, maybe not. What we can also do is, we will do one more thing. Let's step this light in. Let's give it a chamfered recess. And so what I'm thinking about, again, if I was to give it just a straight recess and it was going to go straight into this object, I would be going towards the left vanishing point. But I'm going to change that angle up a little bit. So I'm going to give it an angle there. I'm showing, with those two lines, showing a little bit of a fillet. Then that line would translate up into that. We would see a lot less of this over here, but I'd still maybe pick up on that fillet, and I'd still see some of it. We're going to see a lot more of that recess over here. So on this side, we'll kind of have the same thing. This will step in at an angle. I'll see a lot of this and a lot of this, but I won't see any of the recess coming in. Just to show how those contour lines can help us read, I'm going to put just a contour line through here. And maybe another one over here. So, again, the major things to take away from this, the exercises today. We see a lot more of the side of that curved surface that is facing us than we do on the far side. That affects how much of this light we see. That affects where the center line is. And then the other thing is that as this, and I'll use colors, again, referencing back to our earlier exercise, this is the smoother part of our curve, and as it goes away from us, this is the quicker part.